Put Kenny Irwin Jr. in a USAC Silver Crown car and wait for the excitement to break out. Last year, last race, last turn, last lap, a flat tire cost him the title. Instead, Jimmy Sills celebrated. Last time on Thunder, tire wear forced Irwin to surrender the win to Pat Abold. And last time he raced this car, Irwin outdueled Donnie Beechler at Pikes Peak. Tonight, Kenny kicks off a Kroger Speed Fest hat-trick attempt on Thunder. Indianapolis, Indiana is a pretty racy place all year round, especially this week. We are going to kick off the Kroger Speed Fest with the USAC Silver Crown Series. Got the DuPont 100 tonight for those magnificent Silver Crown cars. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Despain, welcoming you to Indianapolis Raceway Park. Three big shows to kick off the week here. We got the Silver Crown cars tonight. What a magnificent show. These are the Indy cars of the 50s, the big cars, the champ cars. Everybody loves them. That's why we got such a big crowd. Tomorrow night, we've got the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and Friday night, the Busch Grand National cars are here for the Kroger 200. You may have heard about the Brickyard 400. That wraps it all up on Saturday. Kenny Irwin, we said he makes lots of excitement. He's trying to run all three of these races, but Kenny Irwin becomes the story in part because of the unusual format tonight. We've already run time trials. The top 20 drivers go straight to the 100-lap feature. Russ Gamester was the quick qualifier. Two 15-lap last chance races will set the final 10 spots in the big show. We would not typically expect Kenny Irwin Jr. to be running in the last chance. After all, he is the defending champion here in this show. But this is qualifying, and this is Kenny having failed to complete the lap, getting out of the car just a little unhappy. This, of course, is the Johnny Vance operation. They had a little bit of a glitch in the automobile. Here is Kenny Irwin Jr., first of all, to tell us what was wrong with the car.
We had in the fuel cell, there's a pickup line, and it got pinched, and we just couldn't catch it during hot laps, and it kind of bit us during qualifying. So.
You've got your work cut out for you. You've got to start in the back in the second of the qualifying races. Fifth is the key. Can you get there?
I think so. Johnny Vance has a great car, and we'll just see how it goes. We're starting in the back, so all we can do is go forward, so we'll be all right.
We said at the top that excitement surrounds you. I know it's an exciting 3 days, but you got your work cut out for you tonight. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, man, that is Kenny Irwin Jr. We talked about Jimmy Sills at the top of the show. He is the defending champion. Qualifying also bit Jimmy. Here he is on the backstretch. You see the smoke. Let's get Larry Rice, our expert analyst, in here to help tell us what happened.
Well, he broke a U-joint. The drive shaft came loose and knocked the fuel line loose. It caught on fire, and you can see there his legs were burning. He wanted to get out of that thing in a hurry. Look at all the crew guys from all the other crews running out there with fire extinguishers to help put it out. Yeah, this is another slow motion view. Down there, right at the fastest part of the course, the U-joint breaks, the drive shaft comes loose, knocks that fuel line loose, and you can see he's on the brakes hard, trying to get that thing stopped, and he drives it down towards those fire extinguishers on the inside of the racetrack. He was really a hurting guy right there.
So the defending series champion joins us, not in a race car, but in a golf car, and we're not terribly happy about that. Inside that sneaker is a very, very sore foot. Jimmy, tell me how bad it is.
Well, I got second-degree burns on both feet, and the left one's a little worse because it had to stay down there and keep the brake on and get the car stopped. That's where the fire was. So they said I'll be a little tender for a couple of weeks before I can start racing again.
That strikes me as a pretty helpless situation. I mean, here you are going 130 miles an hour. The thing's on fire, but you got to get it stopped before you can jump out of it. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I was on fire down the back straightaway, and I was trying to get it wound down, and I was using so much brake, I locked the front wheels up, and it pushed up towards the wall, and I didn't want to crash and burn. So then I was able to get it off the wall and get it down to the apron and come to a stop and then bail out.
So a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, and back in a race car?
A couple. No more than that.
No more than a couple. That is your defending champion, Jimmy Sills. Glad to see you're okay. That was a very scary moment. Let us introduce to you, as the cars begin to rumble around Indianapolis Raceway Park, the third voice in our telecast tonight, the one you haven't heard yet, and the most important one of all, because he's going to call the play-by-play. Bob Jenkins, it's your turn.
Thanks, Dave. I'll be surprised if Jimmy Sills is out 2 weeks.
Yeah, I will be too. He's a pretty tough guy.
You bet he is. Well, we're getting set for the first of two 15-lap qualifying races. Here's the lineup. The black number 6 there to the inside is driven by Jason Leffler. On the outside, the white 87 of Ronnie Berg. Second row, Casey Dimmert in car 173, black and green. And Dave Steele in the number 26 car. Looks like a 2, but there is a small 6 there beside the 2. In the third row, the orange and white 12 of Andy Mishner and the all-orange 18 of Jason McCord. The fourth row, Jimmy McCune in car number 50, bright orange, the car that sometimes Wally Pankratz drives. And 00 Joe Gosick isn't driving 00 tonight. He's in the black number 5. The fifth row has Mike Mosley Jr. in car number 38. That's orange and white. And Darrell Dougherty in 34, red car. And in the final row, it's Norm Young in number 22, who is not out there, and Dodie Miller. Yes, he is. There he is. There's Norm Young in 22 and Dodie Miller in car number 8. So getting set now for 15 laps of racing. The top 5 will transfer to the 100-lapper.
Well, this is going to be a very important race for these guys that are back there in that third, fourth, and fifth rows, because they've got to move up a little bit in order to make the transfer spots in the feature.
Jason Leffler leads him to the green flag, but it's Ronnie Berg who has jumped to the front here with Dave Steele following him up to second position. The inside row didn't get a very good start there as Leffler has dropped back to third. Jason McCord from his 6th starting position is up to 4th already.
He certainly is, and I think right now running in that 5th position is Joe Gosick. So Leffler gets a little sideways coming. Oh, we got a car in the wall.
That is Mike Mosley Jr., who slams the outside wall here on the main straightaway. He's very disgusted.
Well, he told me that his mother was here tonight, so it would bring him good luck. Obviously, his luck didn't last the first lap even.
And you can see that the suspension is badly broken on the front end of that car, and so Mike Mosley Jr.'s night is over. This is the son of the Mike Mosley who competed many years at the Indianapolis 500. So we're going to have a complete restart. The cars are going to line up side by side once again, and so that first start does not count. Obviously, Mike Mosley Jr. is okay. He's climbed out of the car, but very, very frustrated.
There's Wally Shearer holding the yellow flag out there, letting everybody know they're going to have to get a record and get that thing off of the racetrack, because it is too badly bent to push off the racetrack, obviously. I think we got a replay of this. Let's see if we can take a look at it and find out exactly what happened. This is the speed shot. We're going to watch him coming off the corner. It looks like the thing just got loose and just bang. He flat-sided that thing right into the wall. He got a little bit loose, front end started to push. He corrected. Let's take another look at it. But you can see he's just got out there, got a little bit loose. He tried to correct it, and he was just too high on the racetrack. He just flat-sided the racetrack.
Yeah, didn't look like there was any contact with any other car. Just came off the corner too high, slammed against the outside wall, and then slid to the inside. So it's all over for Mike Mosley Jr. We'll have a complete restart of this 15-lap qualifying race number 1 when we return to the DuPont 100 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Stay with us.
Good to see you here, Scott.
Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, just a lap away from the restart of the first non-qualifiers race, and Mike Mosley Jr., that's about 1 lap for you to tell us what happened out there.
Well, it got a little loose coming through 3 and 4, and you got 15 laps, and you got to make the top 5, so I was just basically trying as hard as I could, I got to thank Lincoln Tech and Don Pablo's restaurants. They've helped out a lot, we got some of the guys here, so tried.
Pretty frustrating way for us to get together. This wasn't what we had in mind at all, was it?
No, I didn't plan on seeing you like this again, so next time let's plan on being over in the winner's circle, all right?
Okay, fair enough. Mike Mosley Jr. with tough luck on the first start of this race. We've got him over on the backstretch, ready to pick up the throttle and go for green.
Nice kid and a father who was an incredible race driver, and Mike Mosley Jr. is headed in the same direction, it looks like. We're going to try it again. Everybody lined up in their original spot. Green comes out. We are racing once again, and again it looks like the outside line is a place to be, because Ronnie Burke in the white 87 has taken the lead momentarily, but this time Leffler has a little bit better run off the corner.
Jason Leffler tried very hard to get a jump that time. He just couldn't do it. Ronnie Burke got a great start and still beat him into turn 1, but at least Leffler came off running in second instead of, I think, third the last time around.
Jason Leffler won in the USAC Midget Division in Lincoln, Nebraska last night. That car looks like it's bottoming out a little bit as it goes through the corner. First three cars running right together on the racetrack. That is Ronnie Burke, Jason Leffler, and Dave Steele running in third spot. The fourth car is Jason McCord. And then back in the fifth position, I believe, is Andy Mishner.
That is Andy Mishner. Look at David Steele. He's down on the inside. Ooh, is he smoking those tires? Trying to hang on. He can do that in this race, but he doesn't want to do that come feature time. You've only got 15 laps in this one, but 100 laps is a whole different story.
Dave Steele doesn't like to drive, particularly on dirt, but it looked like he was on dirt, and it does again as he smokes those rear tires going through the corner. He maintains third position, however, the young man from Tampa, Florida. Now the first five cars are nose to tail out there, and trying to come up into sixth position is the number 5 car of Double O Joe Gosick.
Joe Gosick got a great start the first time around. This time he didn't get as good a start. Now he's the guy that's the odd man out. He has to gain a position if he wants to make the feature race.
And up ahead is the 12 car of Andy Mishner running in 5th position. And behind him, here's a side-by-side battle of Dimmer and Jimmy McCune.
Jimmy McCune tried to get around Dimmer, couldn't get around him. Everybody's battling. Every car on this racetrack, or nose to tail almost. A slight gap between second and third, but other than that, very, very close competition.
Yes, indeed. There's Gosick now looking to the inside of Mishner as they go through the corner, but he falls back in line. And Mishner, meanwhile, is trying to get around Jason McCord. And up front, Jason Leffler goes for the lead. He goes to the inside of Ronnie Burke and gets it.
Boy, he gave him a nice little slide job there. I think Ronnie Burke's thinking, all I have to do is finish in the top 5. I can let him go. This is not a panic. And he just got out of the throttle, got on the brakes, and let him go. But he doesn't want to do it too many times. You see right now, Steele's down underneath him. But when Steele goes down there, McCord tried to go around the outside.
That's right. He's got McCord to worry about, and also Andy Mishner. So there is Dave Steele in black. Now McCord trying to pull up alongside as Ronnie Burke continues to hold on to that second spot.
It looked like we had a little bumping going on back there. Guys changing lines, trying to find a way to get around. It looked like maybe Dimmer and McCune got together a little bit back there in the back of the pack.
So down the backstretch, that is Mishner down to the inside of Jason McCord. That's the battle for the 4th and 5th position, and still Joe Gosick in the black number 5 is odd man out. He is not in the 100-lap feature race later this evening unless he gains one more position. And meanwhile, Casey Demmert there in that black and green car looked like he wanted to take the position from Gosick.
And Mishner, who's in 5th, he knows he can't just sit there. He knows Gosick's back there really putting a lot of pressure on him, so he's moving around trying to gain just one more spot to get him a little cushion. But every time he moves to the bottom, he takes that chance, and Gosick's going to get that outside position on him.
Jason Leffler has moved away from the field a little bit and has the lead well in hand. Meanwhile, Dave Steele now goes back to 4th spot.
Well, he went to the bottom one too many times. When you go to the bottom, you take the chance that guy behind you can move up there and take the groove away from you. That's exactly what Jason McCord did. He did a great job just running out there on the outside. He took the groove away. And I'll tell you what, he runs down there on the bottom very much longer, uses that tire up. He couldn't lose another spot or 2.
10 laps completed. We have 5 to go in this first 15-lap qualifying race for the DuPont 100. Leffler is the leader. And then a couple of car lengths back to Ronnie Burke, who has done a good job holding on to that second position. Then Jason McCord, Dave Steele, and Andy Mishner. Steele again on the bottom side of the racetrack.
Joe Gosick took a look to the bottom side. He couldn't make it work. He moved back up. But every time Steele goes down there, he uses that tire up a little more and a little more. Now then, Andy Mishner's going to go around him. He stands a good chance of missing this race if he keeps dropping down on the racetrack like that.
Yeah, he's back to 5th position now, and that is the final transfer spot. And we've got Demmert there in that green car again, challenging Joe Gosick. Dave Steele is going to have to really pull something out here. He goes to the bottom of the racetrack again, and let's see what happens.
He loses another spot to Joe Gosick. Gosick is going to move up there and take that outside groove away from him. Now that he's really going to have to, oh man, look at that. He's driving that thing sideways.
And he loses 5th position. Joe Gosick goes to 5th. Dave Steele back to 6th, although we've got a car going slowly down the backstretch is not in contention. That is Norm Young.
Well, he's got that tire so hot right now that it's going to be awful hard for him to do anything except run back there where he's at. He's just got the tire so hot it just lights up. It just will not run straight. tough break for David Steele.
Look at this battle, though, for second, third, fourth, and fifth. Now Burke and McCord are wheel-to-wheel into the corner. Jason McCord comes out with second position. Here's the checkered flag. Leffler's going to win, and McCord is in second position, followed by Burke, Michener, and Gosick, and Steele sideways down the straightaway.
Yeah, he has blistered that tire. I guarantee you that thing is blistered. He used it all the way up. He ran the bottom just one too many laps, and a tough break for David Steele. He doesn't very often run a race car like that and get it so far sideways, but it just didn't work for him tonight.
Jason Leffler is the winner of qualifying race number 1 here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, with Jason McCord finishing in second position, and third going to the number 87 car of Ronnie Burke. And unfortunately, Dave Steele did not make the cut, and he will not be in the DuPont 100 here tonight. Cars are lining up for the second 15-lap qualifying race. We'll be back to talk to Jason Leffler when we come back to the DuPont 100 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. There are your top 5 finishers and the transferees to the 100-lapper. Jason Leffler, Jason McCord, Ronnie Burke, Andy Michener, and Joe Gosick. To victory lane, here's Dave with Jason.
Hey, remember when Jason Leffler was this little kid working on Page and P.J. Jones cars when we used to go to Ventura? Now he's all grown up to about 5'2". It works a whole lot better to sit down to interview this guy. Congratulations, that was a nice run.
Thanks a lot. The Ralph Potter brake and muffler cars running pretty good. I would like to qualify a little better, but you know, it's the way it goes. We had a little stumble with the motor, and I just want to put on a good show for all my good friends at Ultra Wheels and ASE.
Won last night in the midget out in Nebraska, took the national point lead. Talk to me about the difference between driving a midget and jumping in one of these things.
Well, a Silver Crown car is a lot slower reacting, and it's more of a momentum type car. And like a midget, the harder you drive it, the faster it goes. This is kind of opposite. These are a little heavier.
So Burke's sitting out front, he's leading the thing, you're following him, you're watching him. How'd you decide when it was time to go?
I just got a good run on him, and my spotter said do it now, and I dove down there and did it, and it hooked up, and car's working pretty good, you know. We just got off to a slow start.
So now you're in a big race with the big guys, and the question is, how well can you do tonight? How close to the front can you get from back there?
Well, the tire wore real good in that race, so I think we'll be up front. You know, I was worried about it. Maybe I was blistering it, but you know, it looked really good, so hopefully we can get up front. All
right, man, good luck. That is Jason Leffler. He's won the first of our qualifying races. We'll take a commercial break and get Kenny Irwin out there and see if he can get in the big show tonight. He, after all, is the defending race champion. We'll be back with more live from Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Welcome back to Indianapolis Raceway Park. The USAC Silver Crown Series is lining up for the second qualifying race. The top 5 will transfer. Here's the starting lineup, 12 starters. Pole position, Doug Coletta, 37. Then the points leader in the series, Donnie Beechler on the outside. He'll carry an onboard camera. Second row, Jeff Matrician, car number 10, and Bentley Warren in car number 29. The third row, Brian Tyler, car 73, and Gary Heber from Langhorne, Pennsylvania in 66. The fourth row, Randy Bauer in car 25 and Kenneth Nichols in 62. The fifth row, Bill Bowie in 78 and Don Carter Jr. in 32. And the last row is Bruce Field in car 7 and Kenny Irwin Jr. in number 2. It'll be interesting to see if he can move up through the field and finish in one of the top 5 positions.
Well, it's very difficult to move up in only 15 laps. I mean, he's got to move up about 7 positions in 15 laps. That's 1 every 2 laps. And these cars don't usually have the tires go away until 20, 25 laps, and they start really changing and start handling badly. So I think it's going to be difficult, but if anybody can do it, I put my money on Kenny Irwin.
There's our CarQuest cage cam on Donnie Beechler's cars. He lines up to the outside of the pole sitter, Doug Coletta. The cars are on turn number 4, and we're just about set to begin the second 15-lap qualifying race of the evening. Starter looks him over. We're green. Here we go. And a nice jump there by Doug Coletta, but Beechler pulls up beside him in the first turn and takes the lead.
Well, the outside line is the preferred line getting into 1. You have, if you're on that inside line, you've really got to beat him to that first corner to be able to slide up in front of him. If you're side by side with him, almost every time the guy on the outside line is going to win the battle. Oh, look at this. On the outside, that looks like Bentley Warren, who just moved up and right on around. No,
that was was Jeff Matrician that he ran wheel to wheel with through the corner, but then they got off the corner and Bentley Warren went to second, and now he challenged, rather third, and now he challenges Doug Kalita for the second spot.
Back a little bit. That's Billy Bauer. Excuse me, that is Heber on the inside and Bauer on the outside.
Boy, it looked like they almost locked wheels there. Brian Tyler down on the inside of the orange and white car. The yellow one is Randy Bauer. And look at Kenny Irwin Jr. and he too is down on the bottom side of the racetrack. He's in 8th currently.
He's got to pick up 3 more spots to transfer. You can see Donnie Beechler has pulled out a little bit of a lead, and everybody else back there battling pretty hard.
And again, Bentley Warren, it looked like he was ready to challenge. And we have a spin. We have a crash over in turn 2, and it's Kenny Irwin. Wow, it's a bad night for the Johnny Vance team, isn't it? Dave Steele doesn't make the 100, and Kenny Irwin suffers another setback here after the problem with qualifying and the pinched fuel line. Now he spins in turn 1.
Boy, it has been a very, very bad night. He got down in there. Looked like there was trouble up in front of him, and he spun to try to miss all the trouble that was in front of him.
Yeah, Brian Tyler, as you can see there, was the other car who went around. And I think Kenny just tried to avoid hitting Brian. He did, but did spin. So
well, they will probably get restarted, but they'll be restarted on the back of the pack. So that's going to make it just that much tougher.
Let's take a look at what happened. Here is Irwin off the corner. That's Brian Tyler running ahead of him. They go into turn number 1, and Kenny heads to the inside. Let's see what happens.
He gets way down on the bottom side. He kind of slid up the racetrack and got into Tyler. Can't really blame Brian Tyler for that. We thought maybe he slid because he was in front of Kenny, but Kenny got down to the bottom, tried just a little bit too hard, couldn't hold the car down, and gave him a bump, and both of them spun out.
Well, they almost locked wheels a lap before this, and then they went down into turn number 1, and they did make contact as Irwin slid up into Brian Tyler, and it looked like that maybe another car got up high and close to the wall, but apparently no contact. But Kenny Irwin Jr. has refired and is moving once again. So he still has a lot to go, a long road to hoe here tonight. And Brian Tyler, it looks like, will also be restarted. But they both have to move up into the top 5 finishers in order to start the DuPont 100 later tonight here on Thunder. We have been under green for less than a lap. Here comes Donnie Beechler off the corner in the lead. Good battle for second position as Bentley Warren and Doug Kalita are still going at it out there. And there's also a good race for 4th position. Jeff Matrician and Gary Heber and Randy Bauer all going for that spot.
Well, Randy Bauer has been working very hard to get around Heber for the last couple of laps. And here's Irwin back there. He's still battling, and he's already up to 7th position. So he is, I bet he's a little bit mad at himself. Oh, look at this, down on the inside again, and this time he hangs on to it. He doesn't slide up into Randy Bauer.
But he was sideways coming off the corner and gave up a lot of what he had gotten. Now he goes to the high side of Gary Heber and tries to take another spot. This is a man on a mission, isn't he?
He is now in 5th spot. I said he had to do a car lap. He passed 3 in the last lap.
He's doing 4th.
Man, oh man. He passed 3 cars in 1 lap. Unbelievable.
Obviously has something to prove and is very angry at somebody, probably himself. He's in 4th position, well into the DuPont 100, and now he has Bentley Warren just ahead of him and Doug Kalita. Man, what an impressive performance here by Irwin, despite the problem in qualifying and the spin in this 15-lap qualifying race.
Now the question is he going to be satisfied to make the race and finish in 4th, or is he going to come back and really go after Bentley Warren? I think he's going to try to do something with Bentley Warren. He's tried on the inside, now he's looking on the outside, now he's going to go back to the inside and see if he can do it. He's done that same thing a couple of times and made it work. That time he couldn't. Bentley had too much corner speed.
That's what his teammate Dave Steele did during the qualifying race and burned off the tire and didn't make the 100 lapper. Donnie Beechler is well out in front. We've completed 9 laps. We're watching 2nd, 3rd, and 4th here.
Bentley Warren's taking a nice defensive line. He's running into the corner a little bit lower than normal. He runs up a little bit higher in the middle and then down off low again. He's trying to save that position. I think he saw Kenny Irwin's nose up there, and he doesn't want to let him get around him.
While we continue to watch this battle, we will tell you that there is no battle for the transfer spot. Jeff Matrician is in 5th position and is not receiving a serious challenge at this moment from Gary Heber, who's running in 6th position. So we'll stay focused here and see if Kenny Irwin can move up another spot.
Well, he wants to try the outside. There's just not enough room up there, and there's not really enough room on the bottom. Bentley Warren's running one of the most difficult grooves in this racetrack in order to get around, because he enters it low, so you can't give him that low slide job, and then he comes up in the middle of the corner and runs off right in the middle. Just no room on either side.
Trying to do all 3 races here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The Silver Crown tonight, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series tomorrow, and the Busch Series Grand National Division on Friday night. The Kroger 200. Kenny Irwin, and of course a lot of speculation regarding his future next year. There is a news conference scheduled on Friday by the Robert Yates team, and many think that Kenny will be named to drive the 28 car next year.
Well, the urgency has not there for Kenny Irwin. He's actually fallen back just a little bit. He's picked up a very bad push coming off the corner. Here is the transfer battle. Jeff Patricia now is getting a little pressure from Randy Bauer. Bauer in that car, Glenn Nibels, usually runs up front. And right now, Randy Bauer's on the inside. It looks like he's got that thing. Oh, man, he couldn't do it. Couldn't keep the speed up down the back straightaway.
Boy, wheel to wheel down the backstretch. The white flag is out. We've got one more lap to go. We're watching the battle for the transfer spot. That is Jeff Matrician in number 10, followed by Randy Bauer. And the 78 car is Bill Bowie, as all 3 of those guys need to get ahead of Matrician to get into the race. Meanwhile, Donnie Beechler sails to the checkered flag with no problem whatsoever. He wins the heat. There is Coletta, Bentley Warren, Kenny Irwin, and let's see who finishes 5th. Matrician gets the spot.
Yeah, Bauer just couldn't do it. He had a good shot the lap before, but just couldn't quite get it done.
Well, we didn't use the onboard camera much because there was nothing ahead of Donnie Beechler that entire race. He wins easily the second last chance qualifier, and so now prepares himself and his car in just a few moments for the DuPont 100.
Well, he did a very nice job. He is very comfortable on the pavement. He's known as a dirt driver. That's where he grew up and has done most of his running. But he's very comfortable and he's very smooth on the pavement. We saw him run at PPIR. He did a good job out there, too.
Donnie Beechler wins qualifying race number 2 here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. We'll be back to talk with him in just a moment. And it won't be too long before the 30 starters in tonight's DuPont 100 will get ready to run their race. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, Donnie Beechler has won the second last chance race with Doug Coletta, Bentley Warren, Kenny Irwin Jr., and Jeff Matrician all transferring to the 100 lapper. And they're the drivers who did not qualify for the race: Bauer, Bowie, Tyler, Field, and Heber. Back down to Dave Despain.
The Zerunian name, famous for West Coast race cars, and what a marriage. The Zerunians and their driver out of Springfield, Illinois, Donnie Beechler, lead this series and led that baby from wire to wire. That looked easy, was it?
It was easier than qualifying. We had a struggle. Last time we were here, we struggled also, but I think we got it figured out.
When you get it figured out after qualifying, the bad news is you got to start back there in 21st or 22nd, and so then you don't get to run around all by yourself. You got to pass people. How do you get that done here?
Well, it's a long race, so just patience, I think, and just stay out of trouble. We don't want to be back there, but unfortunately we didn't qualify good enough. But we'll just take our time and see what happens.
They got this great big Jumbotron screen, and if we turn around here, you're going to be able, I think, to see yourself driving around there and with the face cam. And if we're lucky, we'll be able to see how well that car's behaving, because you're just kind of sitting there like you were sitting on your couch. Looks like it's working pretty well.
Yeah, the car is really good. We changed it after qualifying naturally, but we had a little push going in. We got that fixed. So if the cars are handling, you can drive them pretty good.
Elaborate a little on that strategy for 100 laps. You get the big fuel load in the back that's got to burn off, and tires are a big issue. How quickly do you start making moves? How do you pace yourself to try to get to the front?
Well, I think that if your car is working, you almost have to go to the front. You don't want to, the first 30, 40 laps, you got a lot of weight in the back of the car, and you're going to burn the tires up if you're not careful. But there again, patience. It's 100 laps. So I think, again, if your car's working, you're going to go to the front.
The other issue here is this championship battle. Sills is second. He goes out in qualifying and cooks his feet, so he's not going to get any points tonight. You look like you're in pretty good shape for this championship. Are you thinking ahead?
I don't think no further than 3 feet in front of me. We thought we was going to come here. We did some testing. We were in the low 21s. We even practice, and we go out and qualify, and just couldn't pull it off. So I think we're just going to take it one step at a time, and if the championship comes, that's great, but we got to go race by race.
Okay, man, the car's leaving. I better let you go get ready for that main event. Hey, he's one of the 5 guys who's won. He's the point leader, and he's won the heat race. Donnie Beechler is in great shape in this Silver Crown division. What the heck happened to Mike Bliss? Let's go find Mike Bliss. He's coming up here snooping around, looking at other people's tires and stuff. Welcome back to Indianapolis Raceway Park, truck racers. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Dave. It's fun to be here.
Qualified 16th. Tell me how this deal came about and what prompted you to get back in a Silver Crown car. We know you're in town for the truck race tomorrow night. What brought this deal together?
Well, I was watching the race last time on ESPN2, and I really missed it. And I was sitting in Louisville, and I decided I don't want to be sitting in the stands for this race, so I called Bob East, and he put me in the Petro number 9, and here I am.
All right, now Irwin has to go through the last chance deal, so the chances of you two getting back up front together and putting on a show like you did here in that all-time great finish may be slim. What do you propose tonight? Just go out and blow through the field and win it going away?
No, we're going to Kenny's a good driver. We'll see how good he is now, huh? Start at the back. Yeah. We'll just try to take care of our right rear and, in the right front here. It's pretty hard on the front tires, and just take it as it comes. If the car's good, we'll go right to the front.
Okay, man, we wish you good luck tonight and tomorrow night. We'll see you back here for the truck race, okay?
10-4, Dave.
All right, man, that is Mike Bliss. We're going to take a commercial break, and as we head to the break, let us remember 1 year ago, this race and the call of the finish on Thunder.
Let's see what Irwin does here on the last lap. If he's going to be content to just stay where he is. Oh, a car.
Gurney got all sideways or got something happen up there. He slowed way down, and look at this. Bliss is on the outside of him. He's got a chance to win this race.
He's going to make a race out of it. They come down to the line, and they touch.
Oh, my gosh, they went through there side by side.
I think Bliss won.
This edition of Thunder, live from Indianapolis Raceway Park, brought to you by Daytona, USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. Through 4 segments of our television program, you have listened to their magnificent voices. Now let us look at the handsome faces that go with the voices. Here's Bob Jenkins, along with Larry Rice.
What's with him tonight? Thank you, Dave. It's a big weekend of racing here in Indianapolis. Tonight it begins with the DuPont 100. Tomorrow night the Cummins 200 for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The Kroger 200 for the Busch Grand National cars on Friday night, culminated with the running of the Brickyard 400 on Saturday. But it's also a very big weekend for the United States Auto Club.
Well, it's big because of this race right here. This is one of the biggest they have all year. And, of course, the Belleville National is the biggest midget race, or at least one of the biggest midget races of the year. Out in Belleville, 3 straight days of racing. And they just concluded 7 races in 9 days. The sprint weeks, they were a huge success.
And we're concerned, however, tonight with the Silver Crown division. And as we enter this 6th race of the year, Donnie Beechler has the points lead in this series. And Jimmy Sills, who, of course, is not competing tonight, is 52 behind. So it gives Jimmy Kite and Dave Darlin a chance to move up. Chuck Gurney is also not here tonight.
That's right. Chuck Leary, Davey Hamilton, Kenny Irwin, all these guys, look how close it is from 2nd clear down through 9th place, all within about 60 points, 65 points, very close.
Now, the 5 previous winners in this division so far this year, it started off on the big mile at Phoenix with Jimmy Kite taking the checkered flag. Pat Abold won in a televised race here at Indianapolis Raceway Park in May. Chuck Leary won at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. That's what ISF stands for. At Pikes Peak International Raceway, another race that we televised, Kenny Irwin was the winner. And at the Terre Haute Action Track on the half-mile dirt track, Donnie Beechler took the checkered.
Well, one of the reasons you have so many different winners is because such a variety of racetracks. Everything from a half-mile dirt track to a mile pavement. huge, huge difference in speed.
I've always loved this division. Great cars, great drivers, and as you said, they compete on just about any kind of racetrack. Well, let's take a look at the top 20 qualifiers that we have had tonight. The fastest was Russ Gamester with Tony Stewart second, and Sills on that one lap that he did get in before he had the fire in the car turned out to be the third quickest.
Well, he has scratched, of course, so Jack Hewitt will move into that spot. Then Jay Drake, Jimmy Kite, Brian Gerster, Paul Durant, Chet Phillip, and Pat Abold round out the top 10.
And here are the second 10. Now, the guy that will move up into that 20th spot since Jimmy Sills is out is J.J. Yaley.
Right, so those 20 guys will have the first 20 positions on the racetrack come feature time. Danny Drinan there has a brand new race car that's brand new tonight.
Well, a guy who'll compete here in the DuPont 100 minutes from now is also taking the Indy Racing League by storm. Dave is standing by with him.
Am I too tall or are these guys too short? I'm not sure which it is. We met this little kid from Georgia last year. He came up here to drive a midget, and a year later, Jimmy Kite is the hottest thing in racing. Won the Phoenix opener and got that IRL ride, and I don't know what to talk about first. Let's talk about Charlotte. You did a heck of a job down there in the IRL car. Tell me about it.
We had a lot of fun down there. Everybody at Team Scandia and Old Navy, they gave me a killer race car. We came from like 13th up to lead it, and we went in for our last pit stop, and actually we were going to be the only car able to finish. Everybody else was going to have to make a splash and go, so we were set up to win the race. I mean, it was ours to win, but we cut down the right front and hit the wall and put us out. But like I said, that's racing luck. It happens.
Awful lot happening real fast in your career. Hard to stay focused maybe, but let's talk about tonight. You've qualified pretty well. What do you think the prospects are? How are you going to win this thing?
Well, we're happy. We qualified, I believe it was 8th back in May, so already 3 spots higher than we were in May. So we're looking forward to it. I think we have a really good race car. Like I said, we'll just cruise for the first half of the race and see what the track gives us and go race in the second half.
When things happen so fast in your racing career, how do you keep the focus, and where is Jimmy Kite headed? What's your ultimate career goal?
I don't know. The big thing is I need to quit pinching myself. I do it every morning, every afternoon. I mean, every chance I get. I can't believe how fast things have happened. Just yesterday, I felt like I was getting out of high school. Now I'm running. I mean, I had the Silver Crown race this year at Phoenix that I won for these guys, and Andy calls me for the IRL ride, and now we're signed up to run 5 years for him. And like I said, we're definitely going to run the IRL series as much as possible. I love that series. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of other stuff I want to do, maybe some part-time stuff, but I definitely full-time want to do IRL.
All right, man, we're proud to say we knew you win. That's Jimmy Kite, and he is on a fast track to racing success. Right now, his focus is to try to win the DuPont 100. We'll take a commercial break, get him and the rest of these guys in the cars, and crank them up.
Standing by for the start of the DuPont 100 for the USAC Silver Crown cars, the first of 3 straight nights of racing here at IRP. Well, we'll have Brickyard 400 qualifying on ESPN tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 Eastern Time. That's 1:30 here in Indianapolis. That's on the main network, and then we will come on at 4 o'clock with more qualifying on the Deuce. Friday, second round qualifying is at 2 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN2. And there has been much activity at the Brickyard today. When we went off the air, Lake Speed was the fastest, but as you can see, he ended up 5th fastest. And that's not the big story regarding Lake because he crashed late in the afternoon. Not serious, but it appears as if his hopes maybe for taking the pole position, his first in his career at the Brickyard 400, are a little bit dashed right now. Dale Jarrett ended up with the top speed, considerably faster than Jeff Gordon's record last year of 174.4, 176.4, I believe. So obviously things are pretty much faster out there this year.
Well, and considerably faster than Ernie Irvin, almost a whole mile an hour faster than Ernie, and almost 2 miles an hour faster than anybody else except for Wally Dallenbach. So obviously they have things really dialed in with that Ford.
Should be interesting tomorrow afternoon when they qualify for the Brickyard 400. Dave Despain is standing by with Tony Stewart,
who will start this race from the outside pole, by the way. He's back here in the dark. We had to come searching to find him. Tony Stewart, you're a former champion in this division. You've never won one of these races. I hate to bring it up, but it seems like tonight that might be a good thing to add to your resume. What are the chances?
Well, I think pretty good. It seems like the IndyCar division for me with the IRL. I couldn't win one for a while, but, this is the best that I've qualified with George Snyder and A.J. Foyt's car. And, I've got Larry Curry, my team manager from Team Menard, with me helping tonight, and all of A.J. Foyt's crew from their IndyCar team. So we got a great batch of guys with us, and, like I say, we qualified really well on the outside of the front row, and we think we've got what it takes to win it tonight.
Talk about strategy for 100 laps at this joint. What's the key to keeping the car fast all the way?
Well, I think tonight, you know, we were a little bit tight in qualifying, and we've tried to free the car up, but at the same time, it's kind of a guessing match because we've had some right rear tires that have shrank a little bit during the runs, and it's hard to kind of set the car up when you don't know exactly what the right rear is going to do, whether it's going to shrink or whether it's not going to shrink. So we've kind of planned on the conservative side to be a little bit loose because you can't drive these cars tight here. If they're pushing, you really can't help the car and make it do what you want to do. You've got to be free or loose. So we're a little bit on the loose side right now to make sure that we're not going to be too tight for the main.
Okay, man, I'm getting ready to go. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
All right, Tony's about to buckle in. We're about 100 miles from anybody else. We'll head that direction, and in the meantime, we'll take a commercial break. We're about ready to crank these babies up and go 100 laps for the Silver Crown cars. It is the Dunlap, the DuPont 100 coming up. For the second time this year, Russ Gamester is fast qualifier for one of these Silver Crown shows, so number 51 will start at the head of the class. Finishing up front has been a problem for Russ. He's coming off his best finish of the year in 5th. Let's find out what the prospects are. What do you think, buddy? You going to win this thing tonight?
I'm going to try. I tell you, I got the Terre Haute First National Bank car in front, and it's a 100-lap race, and keep my nose clean, and we should be there at the end.
Who do you worry about when you're starting on the pole, or do you figure, hey, I'm ahead all of them right now, to hell with them. I'm not going to worry about any of them?
No, it's a 100-lap race, and the tires, you know, are going to take effect in this one. So just got to stay patient and be there at the end.
Tell you what, this is a guy with a lot of experience over the years, dating back to the USAC Midget Championship, and he's ready to go after it from the pole as the cars begin to roll here. We'll be pushing them off momentarily and be ready for 100 laps of Silver Crown competition. Guys?
Russ Gamester is set to go. You can see that we have a very good crowd on hand here tonight at Indianapolis Raceway Park, getting set for the big 100-lapper. The yellow flags by the laps in the 100-lapper will count. Well, Larry mentioned earlier the 10th Annual Indiana Sprint Week, which consists of 7 USAC sprint car races around the state in a 9-day period. The series wrapped up Sunday at Putnamville. Over $150,000 in prizes and awards on the line. It was full of drama. Here's Dave Despain.
The Sprint Week champ gets the Charles R. Condra Memorial Trophy. That is Indiana limestone. The guy with the best shot at the rocks got to be J.J. Yaley. Point lead and 2 wins in the series. But Tony Elliott, using consistency, was second and just 7 points behind. In hot laps, last week's Thunder Midget winner, Tracy Hines, real sideways when he hits that cushion. That's a formula for going on your head, but Tracy's okay. On to the B main, and the key here is the orange number 4. That is Yaley, and he failed to make the feature. How's he going to win the championship? Well, through an interesting series of events that saw Bill Rose, the previous night's winner, pulled from his car by owner Jack Gardner, replaced by Yaley, who will drive for Gardner next year. Rose goes ride hunting, finally hooks up with Billy Puterbaugh Jr., who says, here, jump in my car. And so Rose has a ride, and so does Yaley, and the race starts with a 3-car battle among Tony Elliott, Jack Hewitt, and Dave Darland in the lead. Look for the blue 96, Yaley at the wheel, diving down low, looking for traction, started at the back, he's got to get to the front, but 3/4 of a lap ahead of him is Darland leading the race and en route to the championship until he flipped with 3 laps to go.
I was just working on the track the whole race, and finally it bit me.
So Hewitt inherits the win. You may wonder if that spinner up in turn 4 is a story. No, the story is in turn 1. That's Brian Hayden tumbling after touching wheels at the checkered flag. He was okay. So who won the championship? J.J. Yaley.
I have to thank Jack Gardner Jr. and Gardner Motorsports. You know, they gave me a car to run in the main event. You know, we had some problems with our car in the semi, and we didn't transfer. You know, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here right now. And you know, that's racing. You know, in any division we run, USAC, non-USAC, you can switch cars, start to back. You know, I think it's upsetting a lot of people because it's such a big thing. But you know, racing's racing, and you got to do it how you got to do it.
Yaley did it by finishing 7th from the back. Tony Elliott was second. The difference 2 points, and Yaley thus comes home with the championship for Indiana Sprint Week. The national championship standings, Brian Tyler still on top. Kevin Thomas, now having parked his car, will give the opportunity for Davidson, McCord, and Cox to move up.
And there is J.J. Yaley in the number 58 Jack Gardner car that he will start from 20th position tonight on the outside of the 10th row. Now let's explain that statement that Dave just made about Kevin Thomas parking the car. We first thought that he was retired and through with racing.
Well, he announced that he was going to retire. Then he kind of backed up and said he was only going to retire from sprint car racing for the rest of this year. He currently is in Belleville running midgets. He's going to go ahead and race. He especially wants to run an IRL car, and that's going to be his focus for the rest of the year.
Well, the cars, as you can see, are moving into their assigned starting positions. And when we come back, we'll give you the starting lineup, and then we'll go racing in the DuPont 100.
700 horsepower apiece, 30 of them out there rumbling around. We're set to turn the Silver Crown cars loose for 100 laps of Indianapolis Raceway Park. Every one of those thunderheads behind me has an idea who's going to win the race. I'm going to give you mine. I don't think you keep a guy as good as Tony Stewart and a car as good as George Snyder's in second or worse forever. He's never won one of these things. I think tonight is the night. But I also think we ought to put the boys in the booth on the spot. How about it, Jenkins? How about it, Rice?
Well, I tend to agree with you. Certainly the experience that Tony Stewart has is a point in his favor. I wouldn't be a bit surprised, however, if Jimmy Kite or Jack Hewitt won the race.
I was thinking the same thing. I think Jimmy Kite has an excellent chance, but when you got Mike Bliss sitting back there, I would have, if I'm going to pick a guy, I'm going to have to take him tonight.
Here's the lineup on the front row. Russ Gamester in car number 51. And alongside is Tony Stewart in car number 11. In the second row, car 63, driven by veteran Jack Hewitt. Alongside is Jay Drake in car 17. The third row, there's Jimmy Kite in the 92 machine and Brian Gerster in 61 carrying an onboard camera. Paul Durant starts in 95 and Chet Phillip in 27. The fifth row, the winner here at IRP in May, Pat Abold, flanked by IRL former points leader Davey Hamilton. The sixth row, Ryan Newman in car 39 and Mike Bliss. The seventh row, Dan Dryden in car 33 and Dave Darlin in 56. And the eighth row has Jim Keeker in car number 20 and Johnny Heidenreich in 80.
Row number 9 is made up of Chuck Leary, who won earlier this year, and Robbie Flock. Row number 10 is Tracy Hines and J.J. Yaley, the last guy who qualified. Jason Leffler and Donnie Beechler make up row number 11. Row number 12 is going to be Jason McCord and Doug Coletta. Row 13, Ronnie Burke and Bentley Warren. And row number 14, Andy Mitchner and Kenny Irwin. Last row, Joe Gossick and Jeff Mitterson will make up their final row.
Okay, sports fans, here we go. This is going to be fun. The USAC Silver Crown car set to go in the DuPont 100 here on Thunder. Russ Gamester leads them down for the green flag, and we're underway.
Well, Russ Gamester did exactly what he had to do. He got a good jump, but it looks like he didn't get quite good enough jump. Tony Stewart just would not let him have the lead and took the lead going around to turn number 1.
Yes, indeed, and Stewart begins to stretch out the advantage down the backstretch just a little bit.
You can see that everybody made it safely through turn number 1. We've had a little trouble with that in the past couple of years. Guys getting banged around a little bit. But Tony Stewart and Gamester jump out into a 4 or 5 car length lead on lap number 1.
There's our tread cam, and man, oh man, they speed by. And there is the onboard camera being carried by Brian Gerster as he goes down the backstretch in the 6th position.
He's running back there in 6th position. He's a few car lengths behind everybody, but you can see he's not working real hard in the cockpit right there. The thing seems to be working pretty good. He's turning the wheel pretty nice and easy, keeping that thing straight. You have to remember, these cars have 75 gallons of fuel. They have about 400 or 500 pounds of fuel hanging over the back end. It makes them very much different handling in this part of the race than they were when they were qualifying.
There is Tony Stewart leading him off the corner. That's Gamester in 2nd position. Jay Drake is running in 3rd. Jack Hewitt is in 4th. And then Jimmy Kite is running in 5th position. Those 5 cars have broken away from the rest of the field just a little bit. And look, Larry, it must be very, very difficult for these drivers to know that in order to win this race, you can't really go very fast and punish your car for quite a while here.
Well, you've got to really save the tires. Almost every driver that Dave talked to down there mentioned the fact that you have to save your tires. The setup is very critical. With all that fuel back there. You've got to set it up so it's not pushing the front end early, because if you push the front end early and get that right front tire overheated, then you get in big trouble later on.
We're watching Mike Bliss in 10th position in the yellow car number 9, and right ahead of him is the 95 car, and that's Paul Durant, one of the Indianapolis 500 veterans that we have competing here tonight.
Well, Bliss has been very patient. He's working pretty hard on Durant, but he doesn't want to do anything that's going to hurt those tires. You heard him talk about as well that you have to save your tires, you have to take your passes when you get the chance. I think he's going to ride along here for the first 15 or 20 laps, and then you're going to see him start really working on Durant. Right now he's working on him pretty hard, though.
Oh, he sure is. He almost bumped him there in the tail as they went down the backstretch. A little bit of bottoming out there from the Durant car, and we look back from Brian Gerster to the field trailing him. Gerster currently running in 6th position. You can see Bliss back there. He's on the inside of Durant.
Yeah, he's trying to get back around somebody back there. He just cannot quite pull it off. You got a good shot of how everybody tries to get through the corner where everybody's running on the racetrack back there. Oh, Durant got a little bit sideways there. Got that right rear a little bit smoked up there, and he doesn't want to do that very often.
This is the car that Chuck Gurney normally drives on the Silver Crown circuit, but Mike Bliss is at the controls here tonight. And once again, he dives to the inside, makes a nice move, and takes the position away from Paul Durant.
And you see when he did that, when he made that move and he slid up in front of him, you never saw that first bit of smoke off the tires. He made a nice, clean move. He didn't want to get it sideways, and he did a good job keeping the race car straight while he went around him.
Davey Hamilton and Pat Abold running just ahead of Mike Bliss. That's the next duo that he will try to catch and pass. Pat Abold in the white number 69, the winner here at IRP in May. Davey Hamilton there in the 111 car, the teammate to Tony Stewart, who continues to lead this event.
Right, the red car in front of that group is Chet Phillips. So all of these guys running very well. They're all running nose to tail up here in the first 8 or 10 cars. Now then Bliss takes a look to the bottom of Abold. Abold, remember, has won here. He knows how to make the tires last, how to run this racetrack.
Oh, as Abold dives to the bottom of Tony Stewart, he and Bliss almost touch. Now we have this good battle between Chet Phillip and Brian Gerster. We look again back from Brian Gerster's car. That's Phillip in the 27 car trying to find a way around.
And that's the car that Kevin Thomas formerly drove until he announced he wasn't going to run quite so much, and then Chet Phillip got this ride. So far, it looks like he's doing a nice job. He's down on the inside of Gerster. Couldn't maintain it, though.
Chet was beside him all the way down the backstretch when they went into corner. Chet drops back just a little bit, but it continues to be a great, great battle for that 6th position. And because of the battle for 6th, that's allowed both Abold and Bliss to catch up.
Well, again, once you get down there, you can notice that Chet Phillip is running the race car straight. He's running it low, but he's running it very, very straight down there. He's not getting it sideways. He's not heating up those tires. He's very careful when he goes down there not to do that. Brian Gerster, on the other hand, looks like he's already beginning to get a little loose. That's not good. This early in the race, getting loose is not a good sign.
Mike Bliss to the low side of Pat Abold, and he takes that position away from Pat. So positions being changed here, at least from 6th through about 11th and 12th, but up front it continues to be Tony Stewart leading this race. Well, I tell you, Chet Phillip is just all over Brian Gerster.
Well, he sure is. He is trying everything to get around him. Jimmy Kite has moved into 3rd position while we were on this battle up here, so he's gotten around a couple of guys.
And there again is Bliss, and now he tries to go around Chet Phillip. So Bliss is knocking him off here. Now he looks to the outside down the straightaway, the front stretch, but heads to the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 1, and he has passed Chet Phillip, and so put Bliss in 7th.
2 more positions. He's just moved up. Chuck Leary just pulled off the racetrack and into the infield, so he'll be out of the race. But Mike Bliss, the big problem you have when you start this far back is getting around these guys and saving your tires all at the same time. So far, it looks like his tire management's very good. We don't see any smoke. We don't see anything smoking around as we see Paul Durant also also coasting down the front straightaway and into the pit area.
And that great shot we had. Look at how the driver is busy just about all the way around this racetrack. Well, you can see from the onboard camera that Bliss has passed that other car driven by
that's Brian Gerster.
And so now he is in 6th position and headed for the front. Now we see Abel to the inside of Gerster, but couldn't make the pass.
And that's Davey Hamilton in the 111 car that's moved up in there to mix it up with him. So he's also got his car working pretty good right around the bottom of the road. He's smoking the tire a little bit there. He doesn't want to do that very often.
Well, a 5th of the race is gone already. 20 laps out of 100 completed here at Indianapolis Raceway Park as Tony Stewart is showing the way in this event with Russ Gamester running in 2nd position.
And Bliss now working on Jay Drake. Jay Drake's car has gone a little bit loose on him. He's fallen way back. He was running up there right with the leaders earlier, and he's fallen way back away from those guys. And right now, Bliss really working him over. Right on around him that time. He just went to the inside. He got loose up there. He just went right on around.
So Mike Bliss picking him off one by one here in the early going. We'll be back to see how many more positions he can gain when we return to the DuPont 100 at Indianapolis Raceway Park on this Wednesday night edition of Thunder. A full straightaway advantage for Tony Stewart. He leads this DuPont 100 as we have completed now 26 of the laps, and Stewart now begins to close in on some slower traffic. There is Donnie Beechler running in the 14th position, and right behind him is Kenny Irwin, who's come up from the rear of the field to run 15th. Now let's go back to the leader because Tony Stewart is moving through the slower traffic here on the main straightaway.
And look at that gaggle of cars in front of him. He's already gotten around 3 of them. There's 5 more of them right straight in front of him. He's trying to pick his way through. And I'll tell you, he went through those guys pretty easily. He got 4 guys in less than a half a lap. And those guys are not just poking around there. They're running pretty quick.
That's Robbie Flock that he has put a lap on. And he's coming up now on Brian Newman to put him a lap down, diving to the inside in turn number 1. And doesn't quite get the job done, but he is just cutting through this field in very fine fashion.
You can see he's working pretty hard right now. He didn't want to mess up. He didn't want to get those tires hot. He knows that he's in command of this thing, and you can see that he's trying to do it and keep the race car very, very straight at the same time. I think Newman finally realized who it was. Just kind of, I guess he didn't just let him go. He's going to try to go back around him.
Tony Stewart leading the points in the Indy Racing League at the moment because of his finish at Charlotte last weekend. Davey Hamilton, of course, crashed out of that race with Roberto Guerrero. So Tony Stewart is the points leader. There is the 2nd place car of Russ Gamester, who started from the pole position. And it's a full straightaway advantage now that Stewart has on Gamester.
That's Jimmy Kite right behind him in that white car, so he is catching up with Russ Gamester.
Running in 4th position is Jack Hewitt, and then Mike Bliss is in 5th. Our CarQuest onboard camera showing us Beechler, and he's just passing the 33 car, or rather, Donnie Beechler passing the 33 car of Dan Dryden.
And right behind him is Kenny Irwin. Irwin trying to get away to find a way to get around him. He got up to Beechler and kind of hit a roadblock. Beechler running pretty quick. Now we see Beechler heading around the outside of Chet Phillip.
Yep. So Phillip begins to drop back just a little bit. Beechler to the low side of the racetrack. And look at him flex the hand there when he had the opportunity.
He's right in the middle of the corner when he did that, too.
Right.
Usually you do that down the straightaway.
You would think he would wait till he gets on the straightaway. Robbie Flock, we saw him get past just a few laps ago and go down a lap to the field. He has pulled into the pit area.
Well, he was pushing the front end so bad, the right front tire was smoking so bad that just they had to come in and either change the right front or quit altogether, and I'm not sure whether they're going to try to go back out or not.
Jay Drake is the bright orange car just ahead of Donnie Beechler. There you see him, and that's Kenny Irwin on the far right of your screen.
Yeah, Kenny Irwin was right behind Beechler. It looks like Beechler picked up some speed, or maybe Irwin lost a little speed because he was giving him a little bit of a threat a while ago. Now that Beechler has moved out, it looks like he's picking guys off pretty easily here all of a sudden.
Jay Drake who Beechler is passing at the moment, has finished 15th, 30th, and 29th in his Silver Crown appearances this year. That best finish of 15th came at Pikes Peak International, but it looks like that Beechler has picked up another spot as he has passed Drake.
Yeah, he really set that thing up. You can see him taking a tear off. Those things are, in case oil or dirt get up there, you can't see very well. You just tear one of those off, then you got clear vision again. Robbie Flock just pulled back on the racetrack. You can see him down there at the bottom of the racetrack.
Boy, you really use those tear-offs on a dirt track when your vision becomes blocked by all the dirt and dust flying up. You don't use them quite as regularly here on a paved track, but you saw Beechler reach up and tear one off there just a few seconds ago.
Now he's caught up with Ronnie Berg. He's going to see if he can get around him. Beechler really seems to be one of the faster race cars on the racetrack right now. You remember the last time here, he came way up through the pack, and he's now running in 8th position, and he had to train. Oh, he doesn't want to do that very often, though.
And look at Kurt Irwin, though. He has caught right up to Beechler, and now it becomes a battle for position as Beechler is bottled up behind a little bit of slower traffic. Irwin is right there to challenge him.
Well, so far, he's done a really nice job.
Oh, J.J. Yaley has a flat left front tire. So J.J. Yaley, the winner of the Indiana Sprint Week points, has pulled into the pit area.
I tell you what, Don Smith with that Terre Haute First National Bank's doing pretty good. He sponsors the car running first, the car running second right now. Has all night long, so he knows how to pick them pretty well.
There's Tony Stewart down the backstretch. We'll show you the interval between first and second. Look for a red car. That'll be Russ Gamester and the driver who's running in second spot. But boy, there is just a huge amount of racetrack between first and second.
Well, I think if you remember right, we saw Kenny Irwin do exactly the same thing last year when he jumped out into a huge lead, and then the handling went away, and he ended up not winning that race. It'll be interesting to see if that same thing happens to Tony Stewart.
Dave Despain has a story about tire wear in the pit area.
Well, a quick update on the problem for Robbie Flock. You saw him come in with a handling problem. This is a handling problem. This is what happens when you completely cook the right front. That baby is hot. They put a new tire on, sent him back out. Meanwhile, Yaley has come in with a flat left front as reported. We'll take a commercial break. We've been green all the way here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. They are hauling the mail in the Silver Crown cars.
Tony Stewart in the black number 11 leads the DuPont 100 Silver Crown race here at Indianapolis Raceway Park on Thunder tonight, and we are nearing the halfway point. When Tony comes around this time, he will complete lap number 48, and he is just making a shambles of this field. He goes to the inside and puts a lap on Brian Gerster, looking for second position, which is held by Russ Gamester, who started on the pole for this race. There he is.
There he is. He's running, you're right, a half a lap behind. Behind him, of course, is the 92 car, Jimmy Kite. Kite is not all that far behind Gamester, but doesn't seem to be gaining a whole lot on him right now. There's Kite, that white car, next one in line. But look at this bunch of cars back here. Man, this is 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, all running right together. And Jack Hewitt is in that white car. He was running 3rd not long ago, or 4th not long ago, and he's fallen way back.
Mike Bliss has also lost a couple of positions in the last few laps as Davey Hamilton has moved into the 5th position. There is Robbie Flock in the 94 car and Jack Hewitt.
Now, see that Flock has that tire. He's several laps down now. Bliss trying to get back up there, but right now Kenny Irwin has fallen right in behind him. He's now in 7th position, clear from the back of the pack.
Cage cam with Donnie Beechler. Coming up on Jason McCord in the orange number 18. Kenny Irwin up there passing Mike Bliss.
Well, I tell you, Kenny Irwin has come a long way through the pack. He started in 28th position. He just now moved into 6th position, I think. So he has really come a long way. Davey Hamilton doing a nice job, too. He now moves into 4th.
Well, unless we have a caution, it doesn't look good for hardly anybody catching Tony Stewart. But if we could have a caution and bunch up the field, we might see Kenny Irwin make a show out of this thing. He is up to 6th spot. looking pretty good after many troubles. He had trouble during qualifying with a pinched fuel line, and then he spun during the first qualifying race, but did come on to finish well enough to make the 40-lap.
He just went around Davey Hamilton, so he has moved up another spot. He is now in 5th position. Pat Abel right in front of him in 4th, and he is close to him. That's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th right there in a row.
Good racing. Not up front, but back here, some really good stuff. Once again, Donnie Beechler has the onboard camera for us. Bliss is to his left and Hamilton up front.
See how quickly things changed. Davey Hamilton, just a few laps ago, he was cutting through these guys like crazy. He came from the back, he got clear up to 4th, and all of a sudden, he cooked one of the tires. One of the tires went away. We don't really know what happened. It looks like the handling went away on him, and he started going the other way. I mean, it just happens so quickly in these cars.
Now Davey Hamilton passes Dave Darlin in that blue number 69. Here comes Bliss. Here comes Beechler.
Of course, that last car was Robbie Flott, who was, again, several laps down. So Beechler really working on Bliss now. He caught up with him very quickly, but once he got behind Bliss, that was about the extent of how far he could really cut through the guys.
Beechler's worst finish this year is 19th. That was at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. He finished 4th in the first 2 races on the Silver Crown circuit at Phoenix and here at IRP. He was in 2nd position with a checkered flag drop at Pikes Peak, and he won the most recent Silver Crown race on the Terre Haute half-mile dirt track. So Donnie Beechler enters this race in 1st place over Jimmy Sills and Jimmy Kite.
Well, Donnie Beechler is a very underestimated race car driver, I think. He does a great job. He does a good job on pavement as well as dirt, although most of the people think of him as a dirt track driver. But he's very smooth. He takes good care of his race car on all the pavement races I've seen him run.
There is Flock right behind him, but again, Flock had to stop and change a tire, so he is not on the lead lap and not changing positions with these drivers that he's running with.
Well, this group of cars right here are actually catching Jimmy Kite, and I think they're also gaining just a little bit on Russ Gainsborough, although he's a little ways out in front of them. But Pat Abel and Kenny Irwin up there just in front of this group of cars we're looking at right now. They're closing down on Jimmy Kite.
Well, the Snyder-Foyt cars in the lead, and Davey Hamilton's also in the top 10. How about an interview with Ziggy there, Dave?
George Snyder, what's wrong with Hamilton's car? He started backing up all of a sudden. What's wrong?
He says the thing was getting a little bit loose, so we're trying to get him to tighten up the left rear shock a little bit, and that should help him.
So he's going to try to make the onboard adjustment. George Snyder's talking him through it on the radio to try to tighten that car up and get back into contention.
Jack Hewitt was running in the top 5. He has also come in for a pit stop, so he drops out of the top 10. It is still Tony Stewart leading in the DuPont 100. 62 out of the 100 laps have been completed. We'll take a break and be back with more in just a moment. Tony Stewart leads here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. On the far left of your screen is Kenny Irwin, and he has moved into 3rd position, passing Jimmy Kite.
He has come from 28th spot on this racetrack. He has passed 25 cars, now runs in 3rd. Jimmy Kite still running in 4th. That's Pat Abel in 5th in the 69 car, trying to get around him. These guys having a heck of a battle. And the other cars, Keeker in that yellow car is a lap car. Everybody else who's not very far behind, though, on the same lap. This has been one heck of a race back there from about 3rd on back.
Abel looks to the inside of Jimmy Kite coming off the corner. Jimmy Kite maintains that position. Now he'll try to diamond off and get a run on him coming off 2.
Well, now that he's got a position where he can drive real deep into the corner and try to take that away. No, Kite's not going to let him do it. Kite ran it in there. He ran her in there just as deep and stood on the brakes too. And he held on his position. He knows he's battling for position, and he's not going to give it up easy.
After the win in Phoenix, Jimmy Kite finished 2nd at Indianapolis Raceway Park here in May. He was 21st at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, 9th at Pikes Peak, and 21st at Terre Haute.
Well, Abold is really working all over him right now and just can't find his way around. We're now almost 70 laps into this race, so the guys are going to stop worrying about their tires a little bit. If they can make a pass, they're going to go ahead and do it now. They've saved it for a while.
Donnie Beechler, we're riding around with him, and that's Tony Stewart, who is coming up to lap Donnie Beechler and Mike Bliss. So you talk about a guy who has made a shambles out of this race. Tony Stewart has just been incredible.
Yeah, he's stunk up a pretty good race other than him.
It's a good thing we've had some good battles back in the field, or we'd have very little to talk about. 30 laps to go here, 30 to go, as Tony Stewart is trying to put a lap on Donnie Beechler.
There's the battle for second. Kenny Irwin has caught up with Russ Gamester. He is now really trying to get into second place. Again, this guy has done a terrific job. I thought Mike Bliss would be the guy to come from the back and go to the front.
Look at him.
Look at this. He went to the bottom, drove it straight up the racetrack, went right on around him, and never slipped a wheel. He never spun a tire. He never showed any smoke. He kept the race car perfectly straight. They did a terrific job. He and Johnny Vance set this race car up almost perfect.
It's little wonder that so many big-name Winston Cup teams are taking a look at him. We heard Roger Penske say a couple of weeks ago that he's interested in Kenny Irwin. And again, we anticipate possibly him being named as the driver of the 28 car next year on Friday when the Robert Yates team has a news conference. But, boy, you just got to be very, very impressed with the performance that Irwin has put on here tonight. And he's no slouch in the trucks either.
He's done a terrific job. And I'm impressed with how they've set this race car up. Remember, he set it up to run fast the first half of the race, the last time we saw him here, not the last time, but one of the times last year. And then he completely blew it the last half of the race and got past. He wasn't going to make that mistake, so he didn't really blast through him the first 20 laps. But boy, about 25 laps in the race, he started picking guys off, and he is really quick.
Well, there you can see that Abold has passed the 69 or the what?
That's the 92 car. He's gone into third place. He's gotten around the 92 car, Jimmy Kite.
Right.
And that is your leader. That's Tony Stewart right there, who is getting ready to lap the third place car. Unbelievable.
It really is.
We talk about how good Kenny Irwin has done, but Tony Stewart has just made a shambles of this race.
He sure has. Now coming up on Pat Abold in the 69 car to put a lap on him. And Abold is looking at a black race car in back of him that is cutting through the field in fine fashion.
Well, obviously there are no mirrors on these race cars. They've got radio communication, so he knows who's behind him, but they don't have any mirrors, so he doesn't know where he's at or how he's trying to get around him. They're just telling him he's getting ready to lap you, don't let him. Well, there wasn't anything he could do. Tony Stewart is just too fast.
77 laps have been completed out of the 100 in the DuPont 100. It's been green all the way as Tony Stewart has led from the drop of the green flag. He was outside the front row when the race started, took the lead immediately from the pole sitter Russ Gamester. We got a spin right here on the main
He takes out the leader. That was Tony Stewart that ran into him. The lap car coming off of there, and that's Jay Drake in the 17 car that got sideways. Tony Stewart, with no place to go, nails him. And you talk about luck. This kid has none here tonight.
How about that? Well, the race was his and things were going so well, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, coming off the fourth corner, the race, by the way, has been red flagged because Jay Drake got over on his head. The car is, as you can see, against the inside retaining wall here on the main straightaway, and Jay is climbing out, and also climbing out of his car is a very, very dejected Tony Stewart, and his race is apparently over.
Well, I think he's going back and telling him to get some tire. I think he's got a flat right rear tire on that car. I think he's went back there and told him to go get another tire. They've got...
well, can he assume the lead?
I do not believe he can assume the lead, but he had lapped everybody, if you remember, except about 3 or 4 cars.
Right.
So he should be able to go to the back of the lead lap and only be in about 5th spot.
Dave Despain.
Let's see if we can get a quick word with Jay Drake. They're still kind of checking him over. He appears to be fine, but I'll tell you what, that was an ugly, ugly moment. Last week's interview was a lot more fun. You okay, man? That was a bad-looking ride.
Yeah, I'm okay.
What happened?
I don't know. We just kept getting looser and looser, and I was just trying to keep out of the way. I knew they were coming up on me, and I got up there in the loose stuff, and the car got real sideways and just come around.
Okay, man, we're glad to see you're okay. Jay has taken a heck of a tumble. We're going to leave him alone for a minute and let him collect his thoughts. But I'll tell you what, let's just run right out here on the racetrack and see if we can find out what's going to happen with Tony Stewart. Guys, update on the booth while we go check on Stewart.
Well, we're watching the replay here, and it was just a simple matter of Drake getting sideways, then getting hit in the side by Stewart, and that momentum lifted the car over into a roll to the inside wall.
Look at Tony Stewart. He's way down the racetrack. He's in the lowest groove that could possibly be in, and Jay Drake just slid right down in front of him. Absolutely nothing he could do. Jay Drake had no control either, once he lost control of the race car. Tough break for Tony Stewart.
We have an onboard camera look at this crash from Donnie Beechler. He comes around the corner, sees the smoke up ahead. Let's see what he does to avoid all the melee that's going on. Well, he obviously did avoid it. There is Tony Stewart, who has gotten out of the car, and Dave is right there with him.
Almost. I don't know if he's going to want to talk or not, but we're going to catch up with him, take a shot at it. I'll tell you what, that's got to be about as frustrating as anything that's happened to you lately. Tell me about it.
Reminds me of an IRL race, I guess. You know, that thing was perfect all night, and you know, lap cars were, they're racing for position, and we had a couple guys, Danny Drynan, tried to run us down to the grass, and we're just trying to dodge all the bullets tonight and be consistent and smooth. And like I say, the car was perfect all night long, and just kind of taking it easy, really, just kind of biding our time and waiting for the end of the race, and just got snake bit again.
You hopped out of it like you had designs on maybe being able to fix it and get back in. What was the verdict?
No good. I mean, you're trying to make a house out of a bunch of mud. In that case, we just too much stuff's broke right now to fix it.
Tell you what, man, it was a heck of a drive. Nice job.
Thanks.
Tony Stewart, he's frustrated.
Yeah, we couldn't see that side of the car as it was sitting on the racetrack, but obviously there's a lot of damage there in the front end.
Right, he hit on the right side. There's some suspension damage done to it. The Nerf bar's knocked off. You can see the shock hanging down there. So it was a lot worse than we had first thought, and obviously he's not going to be able to get that thing back in the race tonight. Tough break. You got to feel awful sorry for a guy that leads and laps almost everybody in the racetrack with only 22 laps to go.
And that does put Kenny Irwin in the lead. Now let's take a look at this again, real time from the onboard camera carried by Donnie Beechler. Well, it happened well up ahead of him and really wasn't very close. Donnie kept the car up toward the outside of the wall and avoided all the trouble that was to the inside.
Well, it gives you an idea of how quickly those things happen, though. I mean, he was a whole corner away, and by the time they ran into each other and got upside down, he was already on top of them. Had that happened out in the middle of the racetrack, it would have been real exciting for him.
Now Dave standing by with the guy who assumes the lead.
Well, I'll tell you, when that crash happened, I was standing next to Johnny Vance's toolbox. Show him Johnny back there, the car owner. I was standing there. He said, man, we need a yellow, and we think we can win this thing. Well, they got their yellow, and it was the leader. And so look here who started 28th and is leading the car race. Nice job, Irwin.
I'm telling you, Johnny Vance gave me a great car tonight. I got a new crew chief, Joe Ruttman. He's,
I thought I recognized him.
I just, I can't believe how good this thing's running. It just, it's always run good, and it just shows tonight, once you get everything right, we can go to the front.
You had the problem with the fuel line that killed your qualifying effort. That's why you had to run that last chance. But after that, we talked about that. You said, man, this thing isn't handling either. I got a terrible time with this race car. Obviously, something came your way. What was it?
We just got the setup. The track has changed a lot since the stock car's been testing. It's a lot tighter. We just loosened it up. Bobby's did a good job tonight helping me out.
Well, you still got a few laps to go, but cross your fingers, okay? I think you're going to win this thing.
I don't know about that, but I'm glad what we've done up to now.
I'll tell you, it's amazing. From 28th to the lead. Ruttman, you think this kid will make a race car driver?
I'm keeping my eye on him, and if he does, we'll pick him up.
Joe Ruttman will be out here tomorrow night doing business in the trucks. Kenny Irwin is doing an amazing thing here tonight. Starting 28th, he leads the DuPont 100.
And Joe Ruttman will tell you that you only need to lead one lap, and that is the final one, because that's what he did last weekend at Heartland Park, Topeka, in winning the truck race there.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's got a great sense of humor. I've seen him at several press conferences, and he's always the highlight of the day, I'll tell you.
All right, let's show you the top 5 now as we're under red here at IRP after 78 laps. Russ Gamester now second to Kenny Irwin. Pat Abold is third. Mike Bliss fourth. Donnie Beechler is running in 5th position. And the restart of the race can't be too far off here at IRP. Back at Indianapolis Raceway Park, you can see the crews out working on their cars during this red flag that was caused when Jay Drake took a tumble down the straightaway after he was hit by the leader of the race, Tony Stewart.
Yeah, it was a tough break for both those guys. Everybody working pretty diligently on their cars. This is a break for some of these guys. They get a chance to make some adjustments in tire pressure, maybe make some adjustments on the cars so that they can go out and maybe try to chase down Kenny Irwin. There we see Jason Leffler in the 6 car of Ralph Potter.
And speaking of Jason Leffler, he was the winner last night when the United States Auto Club Midget Division visited Eagle Raceway in Lincoln, Nebraska. Dave Despain will tell us how all that happened to Jason last night.
Down we come for the start of the feature. Shane Scully on the pole, Clay Klepper on the outside. The fast qualifier Jay Drake with the inversion starting in 6th spot. Off of 2 and down the backstretch. Watch for the problem for Klepper. He's up on the outside, clips Scully's wheel and takes a vicious looking tumble. Clay is okay. So start number 1 didn't go very well, did it? Let's try it again. Second attempt not a whole lot better. Hines down low, Scully up high, side by side, but behind them, that is Greg Lukert with a tummy tip over. Okay, 2 for 2. Let's try this one more time. This time it goes much better. Scully and Hines almost touch, followed by the Willoughby teammates, Drake and the national point leader, Jason Leffler. The 2 black cars, cameraman anticipating the crash that never came, missed the pass. Drake goes to the lead. 4 laps till the end. Drake and Leffler are now 1-2 for the Willoughby team. Traffic would play a factor in this one. Leffler slides through the opening, gets the traction, takes over the lead, and goes on to capture the win. He now leads in the national championship standings by 32 over Tracy Hines. Drake moves into 3rd. Check out the Western States points. Shelton with a 5th place finish retakes the point lead from Rick Hendricks, while Pancrat's in 3rd spot.
The big Belleville Nationals are coming up this weekend as the High Banks in Kansas welcome the USAC and National and Western States Midgets tomorrow through Saturday, wrapping up with the 20th annual Belleville Nationals on Saturday night. Dave is standing by with Brian Gerster.
Just bolted a new left rear shock on Gerster's automobile. He's been giving us some great pictures here, man. What all did you change here with the opportunity on the red flag?
We were kind of thinking the track was going to be a little bit tighter than what it was, so we missed pretty bad, actually. So we made a change with the shock there and see if we can't tighten it up and just finish without, having any trouble.
Think you'll be in a position to get some of those spots back, or do you have to just kind of ride it out from here?
Yeah, if we made it a little bit better, we'll see if we can't get a couple spots back.
All right, that's Brian Gerster, who's been providing the onboard shots. We were looking for Pat Abold. He was up here at the end of the line, and then they pushed that car wide open as fast as they could run back to the Hoffman pits. We're going to head that way and see what we can find out about the guy who won the last Silver Crown race here.
All right, 78 laps completed here. We have 22 to go in this event, and Kenny Irwin will assume the lead now over Gamester, Abold, Bliss, and Kite. We'll take another commercial break and be right back to Indianapolis Raceway Park. Well, we'll show you the top 20 here with the race under the red flag because of Jay Drake's crash here on the main straightaway. There, the top 5, Gamester, Abold, Bliss, and Kite behind Irwin. 6 through 10, Donnie Beechler, Davey Hamilton, Dan Drinan, Bentley Warren, and Chet Phillip. And the top 12 cars are on the lead lap, so Newman and Hines are also on the lead lap with Gerster, Leffler, and Kieker a lap down.
Well, rounding out the top 20, Dave Darlin, Joe Gosick, Jeff Mitterson, and Patrician. Sorry, I told him I wouldn't butcher that the last time. I already did it. Jason McCord and Robbie Flock.
Well, let's see what we can tell you about. Well, for one thing, we appreciate the CarQuest Auto Parts people for providing the onboard camera for your nearest CarQuest dealer. Dial 1-800-492-PART. And our thanks also to Airworks and especially Dick Kagi, who provides the lift that allows us to bring you the onboard camera pictures. Dave is with Pat Abold.
Yeah, last time we talked to Pat Abold at a Silver Crown race, it was in Victory Lane when he won here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. He'd been lapped by Tony Stewart. Now the crew cleaning out the radiator up front and getting the car ship shape. They were actually up there at the line and then came rushing back here in a big hurry. Pat, what was the hurry and what did you change?
Well, the car was real loose on exit. I couldn't get on the gas as fast as those guys, so we needed to bring it in here and tighten it up a little bit, take a little stagger out. Motor's running a little hot, and the radiator was plugged with rubber, so we had to get in here and clean that up.
Leader's gone. You're back on the lead lap. You'll start third for a shootout. Can you win this thing and make it 2 in a row here?
Yeah, we definitely can. We got the setup, but hopefully now that, I can get off the corner, so we're going to give them a run for it.
I'll tell you what, there's a guy whose fortunes changed rather dramatically with that Tony Stewart crash. Remember, with him having lapped up through third place, this has just become a totally new race. You got Kenny Irwin sitting up there on the point, having come for the record from dead last because they had to push that car off. As a result, he didn't start 28th, he started 29th. He was the last starter in the field. Now he's at the head of the line, but he's got Gamester sitting there in second and a guy who sounded pretty confident right there in Gus Hoffman's car, Pat Abold, ready to deal with when that green flag falls.
Well, if Kenny wins, he will match the all-time record of worst starting position for a Silver Crown winner. And guess who has the record right now? Kenny Irwin. He set it at Springfield in 1995.
Well, I think he's actually going to set a new record tonight because, as they said, he did not start in 28th. He started in 29th. So if he wins this race, it will set a new all-time record.
How about that? It's been an amazing drive by Kenny Irwin, and we still got 22 laps to go. We need to say hi to a few people. First of all, Ned Jarrett, who, of course, is with us for all of our NASCAR Winston Cup races on ESPN. He's home this weekend, not feeling real well, so hi, Ned. And a real tragedy in a family that in southern Indiana, and not only a great race driver but auctioneer, Charlie Sentman, his 35-year-old son Greg, passed away yesterday morning, and our condolences to the Charlie Sentman family. And we heard this afternoon on our coverage of the practice at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway that Ernie Irvin's mom is not feeling well, and certainly our prayers are with her this evening. Well, it sounds like they're firing the engines here at IRP as we get set to resume this 100-lap DuPont race after just 22 laps are remaining. Well, tomorrow night is the Cummins 200 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event here at IRP. We'll be on the air live at 9:30. Dave Despain will have the play-by-play with Benny Parsons. And we've got more. The Kroger 200 is over on ESPN. That's Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The Busch Grand National cars. And then, of course, the whole big weekend culminates on Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Time with the fourth running of the Brickyard 400. And you can hear Benny and myself and Jerry Punch and Bill Weber and Jack Arute with all the action on ABC Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, our next Thunder will be a week from tonight. I can't wait for this. It's the USAC Stoops Freightliner Sprint Cars on the high-banked half-mile racetrack in Rossburg, Ohio, Eldora Speedway. It was a great show last year, and we expect nothing less this year. That's a week from tonight at Eldora, the USAC Stoops Freightliner Sprint Cars. In just a few minutes, we'll be back to racing here at IRP in the DuPont 100 for the USAC Silver Crown cars with 22 laps to go.
Well, there were some guys out there changing tires. We heard Pat Abold say that they put a different tire on, but I think the ruling from USAC is that you cannot change tires under red flag conditions. Maybe Dave can find one of the USAC officials and get some better definition on exactly what they are and what they are not allowed to change. We know some of them change shocks. We know, and I know that you're allowed to change your suspension, jack weight and all that sort of thing. I know you cannot add oil, but I'm not exactly sure what you are and are not supposed to put on there. But obviously they made a lot of these guys take their new tires off, put the old ones back on before they could restart the race.
Meanwhile, it's always nice to see a former star of Thunder move on to bigger and better things, and Dave is with such a person right now.
Actually, where I am headed right now is not for a USAC official, but for this guy putting his headset on. Last week, he was the hottest thing in Colorado, and tonight, I don't know, what are you now, a spotter? Kenny Schrader, what's going on?
No, I just put a radio on. Bentley Warren's driving the Seymour's car that we used to always drive, and he was running real good, but he was nice, but we were lapped down, and, you know, unlucky for Tony, but good for us, and now we're back on the lead lap, we can maybe do something.
What do you think you can do? Can that thing go forward from here, and how far forward?
Well, Kenny's awful quick, but we was catching that next group, so we'll just see what happens.
Let's talk about the other show. They're having a race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend. You probably heard about that. How'd you run today?
Skull Car was 8th quickest today. You know, that don't mean anything today. We'll see about tomorrow.
Like that joint?
Pays 4-something million. Hell yes, I like it.
My kind of race car driver. That's Kenny Schrader. And he's doing business with Bentley Warren tonight and thinking about Saturday.
Former USAC champion who cut his teeth in USAC competition, but of course now in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, and he was among the fastest out there today.
And he's really the first of the open-wheel drivers to make the trek south. He was the first guy who really went down there and showed the guys up north that they could go down there and run stock cars. He's been very successful, and of course he ran with Boston Louis Seymour for years and years and years. They had a great deal of success, and now then he's always been great friends with the family, so he came out here just to help them out tonight.
All right, the pace car has him in tow, and we're looking for possibly the indication of one more lap to green, and not this time, so we'll go at least 2 more before we get underway once again.
Wally Shear had that thing all wrapped up there just ready to say one more, and then evidently they were not sure that they had everybody exactly in line, so they're going to go one more time before they drop that green rag.
Well, it's Kenny Irwin and Russ Gamester, followed by Pat Abold, Mike Bliss, and Jimmy Kite. Those are your top 5 now as we are getting set to go back to competition.
Well, Donnie Beechler now running in 6th, Davey Hamilton in 7th, Danny Drinan in 8th. So all of those guys on the lead lap, along with Bentley Warren, Chet Phillip, and the 39 car of Ryan Newman.
There is Kenny Irwin, who has had an amazing performance here tonight. Some bad luck in the early going, but man, since that race started, he has come up and now has the lead. All right, Dave, tell us about the tire situation.
If I understood the question, the answer is you can't change the right rear. You can change the 2 fronts, and you can change the left rear. If you change the right rear, you go to the back of the field. Now, I didn't hear the question, but that's the answer.
Okay, thank you. Then our question is, can you change the right rear?
No, but he did a great job. That's exactly what we want to know. So Pat Abold could change that left rear tire, which is what he did. So we'll see if that does make a difference.
Sort of like Jeopardy, huh?
That's right.
All right, set to go back racing now. The field under the direction of Kenny Irwin as a pace car is pulled off the racetrack. Here's the green. Here we go. 22 laps of racing left.
Well, Kenny Irwin jumped out into a pretty nice lead on that start. Everybody else back there battling with each other. You see Mike Bliss and Pat Abel down the bottom of the racetrack trying to make some ground pretty quick.
And a car going slowly is Davey Hamilton down the backstretch. And so Tony Stewart's teammate is in trouble here as the green flag comes out once again. And Kenny Irwin has already put quite a bit of distance between himself and the 2nd place car of Russ Gamester. Really the best battle on the racetrack at the moment is Bliss and Abold, and there they are.
Well, that's a lap car in front of them. I think that's Andy Mitchell that they're trying to get around. He is a lap car, but Abold knows that he's got to get around him in order to, number 1, keep Mike Bliss from going around him. And got contact.
Beechler is in trouble. The onboard camera giving us the shot as Donnie slams again against the first turn wall. And so the points leader is taken out here.
Tough break. This has not been a good night for the guys that are leading in one fashion or another. He got into that wall pretty hard. He was running in 6th position, doing a great job. He'd come from a long way back after running that non-qualifiers race. And you can see there that he is okay. He's moving around in the cockpit. got the steering wheel off. So good to see him at least moving around, but I'm sure he's not a very happy camper right now.
Started 22nd on the outside of the 11th row, but the evening is over for him. Well, earlier tonight, of course, Jimmy Sills, who is second in points in the Silver Crown division, had a problem during qualifying and burned his feet and legs. And of course, Chuck Gurney, who was 5th in the point standings, is not competing here tonight. 7th in the point standings, Davey Hamilton, he just pulled in. 6th in the point standings is Chuck Leary. He's had problems tonight. And now the points leader, Donnie Beechler, has crashed out.
Well, it's been a tough night for the guys up in the front of the point standings. Obviously, they're going to try to get this race car off of the racetrack as quickly as we can. We still have 18 laps to go to finish this race, and I'm sure that guys like Russ Gamester and Pat Abold, Mike Bliss, they're wanting to get this thing back under green, because you can't pass anybody when the yellow flag's out.
No, you can't, but these laps are counting because this is a 100-lap race. The caution flag laps are counting, so 82 have been completed as the cleanup now begins quickly over in turn number 1. Again, there is Beechler, who appears to be in fine shape.
Yeah, he's okay, but he's probably not very happy. We did not see exactly what happened. He had some contact, though, that got him into the fence, it looked like, and hit hard with that left side, and they're trying to get the race car off the racetrack right now.
Down to Dave Despain.
Don't know if you had the shot or not, but as Beechler walked down the racetrack, he got to the ambulance. He saw us standing over here, and he looked over and he went, "I'm okay." So he's fine, but we won't get a first-hand account of what happened there. He's in the ambulance. They're going to go check him over.
Yeah, they'll check him over and make sure that nothing obvious is wrong with Donnie Beechler. Meanwhile, the track crew is working quickly out there in turn number 1 to clean up the mess.
Yeah, it won't take them too much longer. They've got it on the hook. They're heading off the racetrack. They've got a bag of oil dry up there. There's obviously some liquid right on the racetrack, right where he stopped, and it wasn't running down the racetrack too badly, although they have where they drug the car down off the racetrack. They brought the oil dry down to make sure there's nothing on there.
Let's take a look at the replays and see if we can determine how this thing started. Now, there is Beechler right at the start-finish line, right there. He got hooked. When that white car, I couldn't see exactly who that was, but when he came across in front of him, it's Jimmy Kite. Yes, it is.
Jimmy Kite's in front of him, and he starts down on the inside of him, and he hooked him with his right front, sent him into the wall, and he hit that thing awful hard with the right front, and then he just slid along the outside wall. But when he tried to cut to the left to get by Jimmy Kite, he just misjudged ever so slightly, or something might have happened to Kite's car as well. We don't know. But he barely hooked the right front on his rear bumper and sent him nose first into the fence. He hit the fence a ton.
Now let's take a look and a listen real time to the onboard. That's what it's like to crash at Indianapolis Raceway Park, going, about 110, 20 miles an hour?
About 120 miles an hour at that point. Did you see that guy that was right outside the wall?
Yes.
He started running. I'll bet next time he won't stand there.
Yes, he ducked and then started to run, but did not get hit. And the onboard camera is still working, although the car is on the back of the wrecker. 85 laps completed now, 15 to go here at Indianapolis Raceway Park in the DuPont 100. We're running so fast there for a while, but we've been stopped by a couple of crashes recently. Here are the top 5. It's Erwin Gamester, Abel, Bliss, and Kite. And 6 through 10, Dan Dryden, Chet Phillip, Bentley Warren, Ryan Newman is 9th, and Tracy Hines is in 10th. We'll be right back.
If you tuned in for the re-air of RPM tonight, it will be coming up immediately following the conclusion of the race. Donnie Beechler is anxiously awaiting the opportunity to see that replay and try to figure out what happened. What happened?
I have no idea. I went down to make a pass on Jimmy, and I don't want to point any fingers or anything. I'll wait and see what happens. But our points lead, I don't know where it puts us, but we'll see what happens.
This is your first opportunity to take a look at it. Here's your onboard camera.
Yeah, I think probably what happened was when I cut down, I may have got into Jimmy just a little too soon, and just spun me around. I don't know if I pushed him or not, but it's unfortunate. Gary Zeroni and those guys give me great equipment. It's just one of those things.
Donnie's been checked out. He's okay, and as you can see, we're back to green.
And we got some great stuff going on out there. Mike Bliss has gone to second. Abel challenges Russ Gamester for third position and gets in, and here comes Kite.
Mike Bliss just went around both those guys. He went around one on the outside, one on the inside. He cut through them like knife through butter. He was really on a tear on that restart. Now then the question is, can he go after Kenny Irwin and see the kind of finish we saw last year?
And obviously something is wrong with Russ Gamester's car because it just did not come up to speed when the green flag dropped. So now with 10 laps to go, Mike Bliss is running in second position. Look at this gaggle of cars here running behind about the 6th place car, wheel to wheel and nose to tail out there for position. This is the onboard camera from Jim Keeker. It looks like he's got a handful of race car.
Well, I tell you what, it's a tear. Oh, we got a little smoke up there. Somebody hard on the brakes up there in front. But all these guys running really hard. And Gamester, tough break for him. That thing just went away on him after the red flag.
Well, the good news for Donnie Beechler, if there is any at this point, he's out of the race, but he will keep the points lead in the Silver Crown division. The question is, who is going to move into second position? With Sills not competing tonight, and if Jimmy Kite continues to hang in there, he may be in second position. There are 8 laps to go, and now Bliss is going to make a run at Kenny Irwin.
He sure is, and the car in third place is Danny Dryden. He was way back about 8th or 9th spot, and he is making a heck of a run. He's passed everybody up to third. I don't know whether Bliss has got anything for him or not.
Russ Gamester's car is sputtering as it goes down the straightaway here in front of us. So Gamester drops out after running second just about all race long. Here comes Robbie Block to the inside of the racetrack.
He's a couple laps down. Abold is still in 4th place, and Kite is still in 5th place. But really, the 94 car Block has nothing to gain right now.
And
look
now, look at Dryden as he comes right up on Mike Bliss and challenges him for second position. So don't count Dryden out of this thing by any means. There are less than 6 laps to go. Dryden trying to catch up and pass Mike Bliss.
Right now, Bliss is the best thing for Kenny Irwin. If he can keep Dryden back there a little bit. Dryden went up there and gave him a little bit of a nudge that time by. And he really hasn't found any way to get around. All 3 of these guys running at a tremendous pace after 95 laps out here on this racetrack.
Well, Kenny Irwin Jr. appears to have things in hand at the moment. When he comes down to complete lap number 96, we'll have 4 to go. We're concentrating. Oh, we got some smoke over there in the first turn, and a car has spun. Who is it? Looks like Ryan Newman.
Ryan Newman.
Yep.
Sure is. He spun down there. Gamester had a left front tire going down. That's why he had to pull off and into the pits. So tough break for him. Ryan Newman now in the pits. That's 96 laps as they cross the finish line this time. Now, the ruling was, they told us in the drivers' meeting, that they will not complete this race under yellow. So if we go up to lap 99, they will stop scoring, and then it'll be white and green at the same time, and 1 green flag lap, dash for cash.
From the onboard camera of Jim Keeker, watch the upper left of your screen, and maybe you can see Ryan Newman sliding sideways and to a stop in the second corner. We really can't tell who else was up there, but there is Newman sliding around and stopping in turn number 2.
Right, he tried to get down underneath somebody there. Either just tapped him a little bit or maybe pinched the car too much and lost the back end and slid around. And you can see these guys back here hard on the brakes. They didn't want to get in that mess, and obviously all of them missed it.
All right, we have the track crews out there now. They'll probably get Ryan Newman going again here. And as Larry said, it might only be 1 green flag lap, but the race cannot end under caution. Kenny Irwin at the front of the field, Mike Bliss running second, Dan Dryden is third, then Pat Abold and Jimmy Kite.
I want everybody out there to just think about this, because when the green flag falls again, you better hold your breath with Mike Bliss and Danny Dryden running in second and third going into turn 1.
This completes lap number 98, and the 1 to go signal is being given. So indeed, there will be just 1 lap under green. The dash for cash here on the DuPont 100. If you are tuned in for RPM tonight and the replay of it with John Kernan, stay with us, because just as soon as this race is concluded, we will be going to RPM tonight. We've gone a little bit over, but it was because of the flip that we had on the main straightaway here involving Jay Drake. Everybody is okay. Now Kenny Irwin is in charge of the field.
Well, you can bet that there isn't either any of those first three guys that's going to let any of the other two outbrave him down into turn one. Droynen did not get a good start. That's not good. Bliss looks like he's the only guy that's got a chance.
Let's see what happens. Down into turn number 2 they go. Irwin maintains the advantage by about a car length. Mike Bliss onto the backstretch now with Irwin, trying desperately to close in, but it looks like he's not going to get the job done. Dan Droynen comes up into 3rd position, but nobody is going to challenge Kenny Irwin as he wins the DuPont 100. Bliss 2nd, Dan Droynen is 3rd. The white flag is out. I'm sorry, this is not the checkered, it's the white flag. One more lap to go. So we'll see if there is a challenge again. I don't think there's going to be. We have a car in the wall over on the backstretch, and a couple of other cars spin around. That's Kite. Here comes the checkered flag now, and Irwin wins it. Bliss and Droynen 2nd and 3rd.
That was Jimmy Kite that got hard into the wall. These three guys didn't even know what was going on. They were battling each other so hard, but Jimmy Kite came out there. He'd been trying very hard to gain a spot or two, and he got into that fence coming off of turn 2.
The car climbed up on the wall, almost tipped over with Jimmy. He is out of the car and okay. Well, here's another guy that has suffered some bad luck tonight, and again, he was one of those up there in the point standings, so it has not been a good night for those in the top 5 in the point standings, even the top 10 for that matter. But the good news is that Jimmy Kite is all right, and Kenny Irwin is stopping here on the main. Well, he didn't stop in victory lane as he was supposed to. Now he does, and gets out of the car and is accepting the congratulations and the cheers of the crowd.
29th to 1st. That's a tremendous drive.
Incredible performance by Irwin. Bliss is 2nd, Droynen 3rd, Pat Abel 4th, Bentley Warren is 5th. We got to get off the air quick, Dave. Go.
One of the most amazing performances in USAC history. Kenny Irwin from dead last to win. There, ladies and gentlemen, is the champion of tonight's DuPont 100. He'll be back for the truck race tomorrow night and then for the Busch Grand National cars. We're going to Rossburg, Ohio, Eldora Speedway next week for Thunder and Sprint cars. I'm Dave Despain for the boys in the booth. Stay tuned for RPM Tonight next.